Hey guys, the Analects of Confucius 6.28 is one of the more commonly misinterpreted chapters or passages simply because of the context that you're given in this passage. But with more context, I'm sure it'll all make more sense. And this passage is also, it might stand out to some people because it might not look as relevant. But let me assure you that every single passage in the entire book of the Analects, entirety of the 20 books of the Analects, they're all especially picked out for a very specific reason. And this one's reason is to demonstrate a real world demonstration of Confucius's teachings, of moral integrity. And yeah, without further ado, let's get started. 6.28. The master went to see Nanzi. Zilu was not happy. The master swore an oath to him, "If I have done anything wrong, may heaven forsake me, may heaven forsake me." Okay, so just to reword some things a bit, went to see can also be met with. So Confucius met with Nansen. That sounds a bit more neutral, I suppose. And then Zilu was not happy. So not happy is a very mild way to put it. And actually, not happy can also be translated as furious. Zilu was furious. And that actually matches his character a lot more. And then this isn't a wording error or spelling error or something else, but Confucius repeats himself twice, "May heaven forsake me, may heaven forsake me," just because he really wants Zilu to believe him and for him to really understand his reason for why he did it, and he wants him to understand that he has not compromised his moral integrity at all, and he would never. And then we'll get into the people in this passage. So Nanzi was the really notoriously famous, notoriously beautiful consort of the Duke of the State of Wei, and she was actually really politically powerful in the way that when Confucius and co arrived at the state of Wei, she sent a message to him saying that anyone who wanted to seek an audience with the Duke had to come seek an audience with her first. And Confucius really did want to desperately seek an audience with the Duke, mainly because his entire goal was actually just so that he could have a government post and then start implementing the Dao into the government and try to make the state a better place to live, and also have the state be a lot less corrupt than it was back then. And then Zilu was one of the core 10 disciples of Confucius, and he was known for being very active, very ambitious, very loyal, as we'll see here, and also very impulsive. He's known to be really quick without thinking, and that was one time Confucius did really judge him on that part of his character. But he is very fiercely loyal, and he also hates moral compromise that is trying to shrink down the necessity of your moral values and doing something else that's not quite aligning with your moral values instead. And he really hated even the appearance or the implication of compromise. And this is why Zilu was furious, not because of some kind of other thing, but just that he was afraid that since Nanzi was known to be a corrupt and scandalous figure, Zilu was anxious that Confucius just ruined his reputation or just kind of ruined his own teachings, or his own teachings about moral integrity by associating with such a corrupt figure. And so Zilu's the entire reason why he was furious was because he was afraid that Confucius was compromising his moral integrity. And then Confucius didn't quite argue with him or try to explain himself. He just swore an oath to heaven, saying that if I have done anything wrong or unvirtuous, may heaven forsake me, may heaven forsake me. And this is a very interesting way to put it, because by swearing an oath to heaven, he is saying that I am absolutely telling the truth. Not because heaven had something to do with a religious side of Chinese society or something, but one thing is for sure, and it's that although you could lie to people, you can never really lie to heaven. And that's just because heaven isn't quite a living person who would either believe you or not believe you. It's not really possible to. And so he is swearing that his actions, his intentions were pure, and everything was done with ritual propriety, and he never really had any other bad intentions by any means. And he also promises that he didn't compromise his moral integrity, and so he really wants to be believed by his most loyal disciple. And we can actually take away a lot of mini lessons from this passage. And one of them being and that we see a bit of clashing between moral purity, that being Zilu, and engagement with the world, that being Confucius. And so this poses a question that can fully encapsulate the entirety of Book 6, and that is how do you try to spread moral righteousness all over the place and try to combat corrupt people in the world without being corrupt yourself. And Zilu's way of thinking of that is, again, moral purity. He never wants to even have the image of him compromising his moral principles, and he never wants to get his hands dirty, as in he never wants to affiliate or associate with anyone who is known to be corrupt. But instead, Confucius, on the other hand, he is willing to engage fully with the world and engage and associate with all the flawed people, flawed systems, if that means he could find a way to implement the Dao in the correct moral path and successfully change some things for the better. And at the same time, he won't ever compromise his moral integrity. And another thing is loyalty. And as we've established, Zilu was a very, very loyal, fiercely loyal, the most loyal disciple of Confucius. And this critique of Confucius, him being furious, might come off as Zilu not being so loyal after all. But this is actually the most loyal thing that a disciple could do, because loyalty, true loyalty, means that you have to try to correct people and help people go onto the right path, even if it's your teachers, when you think that they've strayed from the correct path. And that's genuinely what Zilu believed. And this connects to the fact that inner virtue matters a lot more than outer appearance, because the entire reason for this misunderstanding was because Zilu judged Confucius by the outward appearance of the situation, which was Confucius associating with a corrupt person, a sage, like really, really morally righteous person associating with a corrupt person for whatever reason. But Confucius knows that he hasn't compromised his inner integrity at all. And so oftentimes your outward appearance can differ a lot from your inner integrity and your inner intent. And so integrity isn't really what others think of you. It's more like what you think of yourself. Integrity is just, if you think that's morally acceptable, if you look at yourself doing that and don't feel bad about it, then that's enough. Because a lot of people who don't understand your situation or don't completely understand your intentions, they can easily misinterpret you. But as long as you know that you're doing the right thing, then that's enough. And you don't need any other external validation if you just know that you're doing the right thing right now. And then this also establishes that Confucius isn't really a sage. Not in the way that he's corrupt or anything. It's just that he's not really a person in a really tall statue. Instead, he's a real human person trying to do good in a really messy world. And he's not above doubt or too good to be hurt or anything like that. He also, like us, he wants to be understood, he wants to be trusted. And so, yeah, this whole passage is about moral integrity and the fact that as long as you know that you're doing the right thing, it doesn't really matter what the rest of the world thinks. And yeah, that'll be all today, and I hope you learned something, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!